you guys, and welcome back to December Daily Day 10. Truth be told, I am not in the mood to journal just yet, but I'm in the mood for coffee. It is kind of the afternoon, so this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna pour ourselves a little bit of coffee, and I'm thinking of refilling some of my fountain pens first, or actually just one. I just have one fountain pen to refill, and I'll talk about it in a bit. But we're gonna start a little bit easy, a little bit different today. And then we're gonna get on with the journaling portion of it, if that's cool with you guys. So yeah, first sip of coffee. I'm gonna place it right here for, the aesthetics. And I feel like these days probably happen to us more than we like to. Just a day where we're kind of not really feeling exactly like what we want to do, but at the same time we just got to go through the motions and get going, because it's kind of part of life, and sometimes we do regain that momentum or that mojo when we're doing our thing. So it's always important to keep moving, keep going. So that's what we're gonna do. All right, so we're first gonna fill out a fountain pen, and the ink that I want to use today is Diamine Lion Rock. I'm not sure if I can show you guys what it looks like. I probably can. I don't have it inked up anywhere currently. Actually, I'm just gonna be smart, put this napkin down just to be safe. Yeah, I don't have it inked up currently, but I will ink up a pen with it, so you will see what it looks like. And the reason for that being is that I'm currently in a search for a wetter ink to put down at work. Like my work pen currently, this is not it, but just to show you, it's a Kaweco Sport, the iridescent pearl one, and I have a Sailor Ink Studio, I believe it's 224. And Sailor ink, I realize, tends to be a little bit dry, and it's not exactly fit the way I want to use it, because sometimes in taking notes, I'm opening the pen up and I'm holding it like this for a while as something happens, and it's a bit hard to restart once I have this out. So I want an ink that's a little bit more wetter, and in my experience from my really tiny collection, Lion Rock is a really great ink. And this is a Hong Kong exclusive ink. It's also sheening, so there's a little bit of green. So I'm thinking if I want like a tiny green Lilliput to use, but then again I want the nib to be a little bit thicker. So the one that I have at work currently is an F nib. So I'm gonna stay away from an F nib, or at least the Kaweco Fs, because they tend to be a little bit fine. I think my options, I have this golden espresso, so brown ink with green sheen. But I believe I have this in extra fine, so I am probably not going to proceed with this one. I do have a midnight green, and this is in medium, so this is a candidate. So I'm gonna place it here, and we're just going to really pick out what I want to use. I also have a Kaweco Sport Olive. This is an EF. Never mind. I know you can kind of shimmy out the nib unit and switch it around. I'm just feeling a little bit lazy, and I kind of don't want to do it, especially when I have a bunch of other pens to use. Another option that I'm thinking about is this Lamy Studio. So love this green. I got this secondhand for really cheap. I love it when that happens. It's a medium nib, so I'm quite happy with that. It does not have a converter, so let me try and pull out. Okay, this is another black. So this one I got from the bottom shelf at Goulet Pens, because this was my first studio that I wanted to try out. And then I ended up snagging it from the bottom shelf, which are like return pens essentially. They're still in pretty good condition. I am going to plop that in. I think this is a Z20. Actually, I don't know. I'm not even gonna try. It's one of the converters. It's not the basic converter that you use with a Lamy Safari. So there's that. And then I also have another option that I have with me is the TWSBI Rose Gold 580. This is also one of my favorite pens. Oh, it's a 1.1 stub nib. No, but I do have another pen. It's really silly, but I used to have a Prussian blue. Well, I do still have a Prussian blue fountain pen, but I really like this, the fact that this doesn't have any texture. The texture was kind of annoying to me when we were using the pen, so I kind of switched it out. And this is a medium nib, which might lay down more ink as we're writing, and it's such an obnoxious, well, not an obnoxious, but it's kind of like a cool demonstratory pen, whereas I feel like with this pen I can be a little bit more subtle as it's like a nice-ish pen. But I don't know, having a TWSBI would definitely be super convenient, because then I don't have to refill the ink that often. Because look at the size of this converter. I believe it can hold up to 1.7 millimeters, which is pretty decent. So we're gonna put this as a candidate, and the reason being that because the rose gold and the black just screams a little bit brown to me, so I kind of like that. And we're just gonna place this back here where it truly belongs. Gotta say though, these TWSBI pens, I do love them, and I love like having the option of being able to switch around the colors depending on the ink color that I like. And I know it's a bit excessive, so I did kind of go on a wild purchasing spree when I was first really getting into the hobby. But now that I know a little bit more of what I like, I'm just going to slowly pare it down. I've already listed a couple of pens up on secondhand sites, especially when I know that I'm not a fan of them. I just don't really hold on to them anymore because I know that they might have better use somewhere else. The other option I have is a TWSBI swipe that I've been really wanting to try and use because Drew from Goulet Pens only has nice things to say about them. And I mean, look at the size of this converter though. But the reason I haven't used it yet, I'm not in a mood to use a blue ink. I want to use this ink, the Lion Rock. And I only have like a handful of inks, maybe like 5 bottles or less. Actually, no, I probably have a little bit more. I have like about 3 or so Diatramentis document inks. Yeah, let's see. I don't know if I have, so I went through my Kaweco collection, my TWSBI collection. I don't know if I have a Lamy. No, I do not have, well, I have this. I have this terracotta, oh sorry, this green. Oh, it's an EF, but I can always switch out the nib with something. So do I want it? No. I think the sheen is a little bit of a darker green, so I'm gonna stick with these pens. And I'm gonna stick with using my Lamy at home. But now I'm thinking if I should just acquire the brown Lamy, which is the literally the one that's with the line character Brown, the bear. It's so cute. Love it. Anyways, which pen do you think I should go for? I'm gonna try this for a while because I feel like now that I have a proper like corporate office job, I feel like this might fit the vibes a little bit more. So I'm gonna pack away my Kaweco collection, which I'm gonna show you really quickly. I do have quite a number of Isjwaras because I do really enjoy them. I think as someone with like really tiny hands, they actually fit in my hand like really well. So I really do love this pen, and I also use like a plastic, the ABS plastic version to sketch regularly. Like it's my go-to sketching pen aside from the Sailor Fude. So I really do love it. And then the TWSBI, I like it a little bit more for slightly longer writing sessions because of the amount of ink that it holds. So to do my morning pages, I am using a stub nib. And the reason for that is because I really like how the ink sheens on the paper. And I really like that you can fill out a page really quickly with a big nib. And I like that I'm writing out and it doesn't feel like a chore for me to like fill out the whole page because I can get really big strokes. So maybe I'll save this for another time. Maybe when I actually do have to start writing a lot of stuff at work. But at the moment, you know, everything is digital. So I do really only use this for taking notes when I am somewhere in person or just to cross things off my to-do list. So time to pack this up, and we are about to fill in this pen, which I realize I will have to cut down this video a lot. So we're gonna fill this pen using a converter. So I'm not sure if you are able to get the perfect view from the top. Another drink of coffee. All right, I'm gonna open this. It's like really risky that I'm on my white table doing this, but because this is diamine, it's a water, like it's not a permanent ink, super water soluble, so I'm not too worried. And this is also what I do every time I open a bottle of ink, is I kinda, it's like, it's crusty a little bit, like this top, so I always just touch the top anyway. And then now we're just gonna do it. So, oh, this is gonna be hard. If this nib falls in, I'm gonna be so screwed because I have no idea how to pick it out. I do not have tweezers or anything. So I'm just gonna pray that it'll be fine. Cool. Alright, I'm just gonna do this. Slowly pull ink up. Okay, the first pull ever will always have a lot of air. So you kind of want to push it back down a little bit and then you pull it back up. Because then when you're pulling it back down again, you're kind of expelling the air. And there's not really a full fill, like you can kind of see the bubbles. I'm not sure if you can see them, but it's a good enough fill for me. Just gonna wipe some ink bits off at the edge. I'm going to kind of wipe this down. So one way that I used to fill my pen a lot is I actually treated my converter like a cartridge. I would use this blunt syringe to fill in the converter, but then I realized like if you actually put the nib inside, you saturate the feed, which is a tip from Goulet pens. Okay, we're gonna close this because we're not taking risks. And because the nib is saturated, you don't really need to wait for the ink to kind of travel all the way down through the feed to the end of the nibs, and you can straight away use the pen. So that's it. We're gonna close this up. We're gonna try writing with it. Okay, I'm just gonna pack this inside Line Rock again. It's my favorite ink ever. I think it's because it caught me by surprise. Like I didn't know there was a sheen, so I literally thought it was a brown ink. So when I saw the sheen, I was actually really surprised. And I'm gonna show you guys, this is my journal that I write in daily, but you guys are not gonna see that because it's morning pages. But I will show you guys what Lion Rock does look like on this paper, which is a Tomoe River 52 grams diamine. Oh, I love how like gushing that is. It's such a contrast to my Koiko dry ink because it's such a wet ink. Lamy Studio M nib. So there's that, and then I kind of like to color. I don't know how. Is this what people do? I don't know. Anyway, I'm just gonna clean this up a little bit more at the bottom here, like right near this rim, because I realize ink can be caught up there and can be a little bit dry. And while we're waiting for that to dry a little bit, I don't think it should take too long, but because the ink is kind of wet, you can still kind of see it shine, especially because it's a Tomoe River. I'm gonna show you guys my bullet journal, and at the end I actually do have a section that I put for all my currently inked pens, because I just think that it's a great way to keep up with pens that way. Okay, I'm just gonna put here. Got a little pen loop right here, and I'm gonna add here Lamy. Oh my god, it's so thick. Lamy Studio dark green. I'm just gonna put the M. So I put the pen name over on the left, and then the ink names on the right. Diamine, Lion Rock. And what I do here is I usually just put, I don't even know, do you guys even want to know this? Well, I'm gonna put it up anyway, and I'll read your feedback in the comments a little bit later. So I try to put the different strokes, in which case this doesn't have a lot of different strokes, usually by varying the orientation, and then I color it in a little bit so you can see. I'm gonna put this in this little loop right here. I promise it doesn't take this long normally to fill up a pen. Okay, so you can already kind of see, I'm not sure if it's, I think you can kind of see it a little bit like in the outlines. There is like a slight hint of green. It doesn't show on the Leuchtturm paper, which I think is why I abandoned this ink to begin with, because I could only use it on the Tomoe River. But let's see here. So you can see that there are some glimpses of green. It's very subtle, but it's very, oh, there you go. In that blob, you can kind of see that sheen. So it's quite beautiful, really, because it's brown with like hints of green. So it does really feel like Lion Rock. Like Lion Rock is basically an area where you can hike to and you can get a beautiful view of Hong Kong. And I've hiked there once or twice. Kind of an excruciating hike in the summer, but I think in the winter it should be fine. But yeah, so that's me filling out my fountain pen. Oh, I love that sheen. I can look at that forever. But yeah, so maybe we're gonna journal about that today. So let me hand it over to voiceover Becky to get it started. Taking over from the real-time video, I decided to flip through my December daily for some inspiration, and then I realized like I've actually not done a spread that's related to Christmas or the festivities or the holidays at all, and it is day 10. I am pretty sure I've committed some sort of cardinal sin or something for not having even remotely a single green Christmas tree on this entire project so far. And actually, even after this spread, I still didn't use any green Christmas trees, but we will leave that for another time. I was passing by a bookstore yesterday. It's a Taiwanese bookstore. It's called Asleep, I believe, if I'm pronouncing it right. And they had these booklets in the front of their store. I think it does have a little bit of cataloging of new products and events. And unfortunately, the whole thing was in Chinese, which I can't really read. But I thought the doodles were really cute. And I thought that I could definitely use this as a part of my December daily in order to inject some real quick decorations and really big ones into the spread. And I was really drawn to this Santa on the cover page, so I wanted to keep that Santa as big as possible. And I realized I'm kind of repeating the theme that I did yesterday with the Shake Shack shopping bag. But you know what? I actually really do like scrapbooking things on the left side of my page for some reason. But I did think that the Santa worked orientation wise a little bit better on the left side because of this Santa and the gift wrap that I'm putting on the right, and therefore to balance it out, the big Santa has to be on the left. So here I am just penciling out where I should cut the Santa, and then I will, as people call it, fussy cut, I believe is the term. I will fussy cut around the silhouette of the Santa a little bit, and the gifts, and also the wrapping paper, and the little dog, or is it a cat, eating a pizza at the bottom. Oh my god, it's so cute. But yeah, so I am doing it is a little bit as a hack, or maybe just like a cheat for filling up my spread really quickly. I really thought that this was kind of nice, and I don't really have any stickers or stamps for that matter that are Christmas themed, or actually even just any stickers or any stamps. So I thought that this is kind of a good way to hack it just by taking ephemera that's available around us and just adapting it to be used for our journals as need be. And if you're seeing me pausing in the middle of it, is because I am also watching a TV show while I'm making this journaling spread, because I wanted to kind of relax and make this journal spread in a more chill and winding down kind of way. Just wanted to take my time before I decided to write it out and enjoy the December daily process. The key tool for this spread is really Elmer's glue, and the reason for that is because I can kind of position the sticker or the picture the way that I want it, and I can also overlap them a little bit, whereas I don't have that much wiggle room with a tape runner. So I'm really thankful that I have this piece of glue, which I've actually had, I think maybe for about 4 or 5 years now. Never ran out, have been using it super sparingly, and I do recommend having at least this around your house or around your flat. Even if it's not to scrapbook or anything, they do come in handy. For example, if I'm sticking on shipping labels or just wrapping gifts in general, that or a tape, super useful. I don't use it a lot, but I really like this form. Actually, I like this a lot better than a glue stick. I just think it sticks better, even though I know that it does leave a little bit of texture and some people might be bothered by it. But I like how kind of malleable it is. And at the moment, I'm trying to fold over these little bits of the Santa over the page, and it's a bit tricky to do that because it's so small. So I am using a ruler to get those finicky parts and putting a folding line down the middle first before I decide to glue everything down. And because it's Elmer's glue, I can actually lift some of the things that I pasted down when I'm doing it really quickly, so I can kind of overlap the images the way that I want to, and then I can kind of arrange them in the way that I like and just cut off the excess on the side. After this, I'm just going to write very quickly in my regular brush pen and also journal in a little bit with the fountain pen that I just filled up. And I'm already really liking how it shines on the page, even though it's not as sheeny as the Tomoe River paper, because I believe the Midori paper does absorb the pen a little bit more, but that's alright. So we are just going to finish up right here, and I will catch you in the next December daily. Bye!